welcome to the Fresh CrEd Podcast. In today's episode, we're bringing you an exclusive look into the transformative world of produce with Mayra Vazquez, co-founder of Latin Specialties. From her early days as a journalist to becoming a leading force in Houston's produce industry, Mayra's journey is nothing short of inspiring. We'll delve into sustainable development, innovative cold storage solutions, and the exciting future of Houston's produce market. You won't want to miss her insights and the story behind her success. But first, a special thank you to our amazing sponsors who made this episode possible: Born Farms, ArtMX, Mucci Farms, Sevrend, Santos International, 4 Earth Farms, Sunfed, Zubel Industries, IFCO, and our beverage sponsor, Tehuacan. Like, subscribe, and join us as we sit down with the brightest in produce. Enjoy the show.
We're being joined by Mayra Vazquez, co-founder of Latin Specialties.
Hello, Mayra.
A bunch of
Howdy.
Other titles, but thanks for joining us.
Lots of other titles.
Yes.
Interesting, yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
So Mayra, we're joking because Mayra serves as co-chair of the Houston Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Association, so we know her through that. We know her through the Texas International Produce Association Board of Directors. That was a mouthful. Viva Steering Committee, Clean Eating Challenge. So
In her free time, she messes around with a company called Latin Specialties.
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
I don't know. So a family
She's got you
started
beat,
a family
Craig.
business.
she's
Yes.
definitely got you beat as far as number of hats, and you have a hat right there.
I don't know about that,
No.
but, I'll take it.
Okay. The other common denominator, I guess, is that we're in the city of Houston, your hometown. I know you're excited to have this expo here.
Absolutely.
Has your town lived up to its expectations or to your expectations?
It always does. Never fails me. Houston is amazing, and I'm super happy that the show is here for sure. I thought it was going to be way easier. It's actually way harder. The visitors coming to see our facility, come have meetings over there, so they're going back and forth, having meetings here and there. Just keeping an agenda. I'm good at keeping an agenda, but this was a little bit tougher.
Well, I was surprised you arrived without a handler today. Like, usually I would expect somebody of your
Her
schedule, stature to have a handler.
I think you're giving me too much credit
You're
right now.
very
but
down to earth.
He's definitely putting you on a pedestal.
I
They're
know,
going to say,
right?
when you're gone, that Mayra Vazquez, man, she was really down to earth.
Mover and shaker of modern times.
I'm believing it right now. Keep it
Okay.
going.
You born here in Houston?
No, so I was born and raised in Mexico City,
Okay.
and we moved quite a bit, actually. My father was a grower in Michoacan, Mexico, and that's where he's from, or he was from.
Craig calls it Michigan.
Michigan, Mexico, yes.
Yeah.
It's my Tex-Mex.
Don't tell the avocado growers that, please.
No, I won't. Believe
Yeah. So from there, he wanted to expand into the U.S. market, and so he took us to California, and then we went to McAllen, and then Venezuela, and then Houston. And here's a fun story for you. So from Houston, I decided to pursue my career as a journalist. Don't hate me when I say this, but I did work for CNN, okay?
Oh.
And so I took off for quite a bit. I actually worked here in Houston as a journalist for Telemundo, Univision. Fun times. I just didn't like local news because it's all about, just deaths and all this tragedy and stuff. And so I wanted to be more about history and culture and all that good stuff. So I applied, and we actually went to an expo, and everybody told me no. It's like, you're too this, you're too that. And so everybody was telling me, yeah, you're too young for the role that you're applying. Basically, I wanted to be a field reporter. And the last station before I left the expo was CNN. And I was like, I wonder how they're going to tell me no. And long story, they said, we'll call you in a month if we're interested. This was Friday, a random Friday. And then on Monday, I get a phone call. It's like, this is so-and-so from CNN. We're interested in interviewing you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a joke. And I thought it was a friend of mine. Long story, fast forward, I take the job, 2.5 years. During 9/11, I was living in Atlanta. And then my brothers decided to build this incredible state-of-the-art facility here in Houston for an expansion that we did. And they said, you know what, come back to reality. Come work in the produce industry with us again. And so here I am selling papayas, pineapples, mangoes.
Wow. So that is a different path. Most people don't necessarily go to CNN and then come back to this.
That's a hell of a roundabout path.
That's
What are
a
you talking
roundabout
about?
path.
That's around the mountain, and here we go.
Yeah, for
Leave
sure.
it to Mayra.
But you know what? The media's loss is the produce industry's gain, I would say, for sure.
I like that.
For sure. So, no, you and I go back. We've had a long history, mostly through the HFF and VA,
Yes.
right?
That's even hard to say. Even the acronym's hard to
The
say.
acronym's a little difficult.
Houston Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Association.
Yeah.
Yes, HFFVA. It's exciting that, so it lost momentum for a bit. A lot of produce industry leaders were not really participating. And so we approached Dante to see if he would be interested in merging HFFVA and TIPA. And he gladly said, Mayra, I would love to. Let me look into it, because he's very cautious, as he should be. And so it took a little bit for him to work on it with his team. But we're excited to say that it's going to be kind of like a, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a merger or a...
Yeah.
It's going to keep its name.
A branch, maybe?
Yeah. But yeah, so we wanted to keep the name. And so we asked him, is it possible to potentially keep HFFVA? And he said, we'll make it happen. And so everybody that was on the board is extremely excited to hear about it, because Houston needs something like this, for sure. There's so much food industry talk here.
I'm going to assume one of the challenges was that, I mean, we've been volunteer leaders for many years with TIPA, but blessed with having staff, right? So Craig, my man here, he's a big idea guy. He loves giving big ideas and encouraging
Letting
others
somebody
to
else.
execute.
I like ideas. I don't like to necessarily execute.
And
I
I
was
think
just about
with
to
these
say.
smaller organizations, volunteer leadership is left to carry the load, right? I mean, there was no staff for HFFVA, correct? It was volunteer leadership, and everybody has their day job. So
Yep.
to have those situations where people have the bandwidth to actually execute those things, it's not easy. I know. So I think this is a great fit. We have the infrastructure within TIPA, and even if it means some expansion, it's not going to be to the degree that you would have to from the ground up. There's a ton of synergies. I mean, I would love to see the gift of produce be brought back.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see, like bi-monthly luncheons and stuff like that.
It was monthly originally.
It was monthly originally, yeah.
I mean, that can happen. I mean, in a city like this, with just because of the sheer population, anything can happen, really.
And that's spot on. That's probably the reason why it was dying down. It's just we're so busy in the industry. We know the industry is not getting any easier. We just don't have enough time. And so it was very volunteer based. There were no employees, like you mentioned. Therefore, that's why we approached TIPA, because Dante said, you know what, we've got the team to work on this. And so why not? So I'm excited about that. But yeah, that's spot on. That's probably why it was dying down. But
So do you guys have a vision yet? Are you going to do monthly luncheons? Are you going to go back to that format? Is it going to be a couple of times a year? What do you guys
start
do?
at Mayra's house, because she was talking about renting her house out.
Really?
We're not going to let this go. So the first
Apparently
one is
not.
going to be like Mayra's pool party backyard barbecue thing.
I've got the chef in Houston that can come and do the cooking.
now we're talking.
So I've got the chef covered.
Okay.
Seriously, though.
Done deal.
Brenner's, one of my favorite places.
It's delicious. Yes.
Yeah.
Brennan's.
Or Brennan's.
Brennan's.
I don't know,
Brennan's,
I don't
I'm
know where
sorry.
Brenner's is
Or
at.
Brenner's
but
on the
Brennan's
bayou.
is
We've
good.
been there. We went there
That's
before.
also an excellent
Oh,
place.
that's
So if we want to,
oh,
You know,
my.
there's one in San Antonio now. I just went the other day on the Riverwalk.
But it can't be
Brand new.
Look, you remember
Brand new Brenner's.
I don't
Oh
know
no,
what
I
I'm
see an
telling you.
argument coming.
This place here in Houston, because it's on the bayou there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's got
Oh,
it
it's
is
amazing.
Thus, Brenner's on the bayou.
Well, okay, I know it's in the name, and I guess that's stating the obvious.
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
this
a
one's on the
beautiful
Riverwalk,
spot.
so there's a water theme.
I can't imagine I cannot imagine being more beautiful.
Brenner's
than
on the
this,
Riverwalk. It's pretty cool, dude.
More beautiful than this place here.
Maybe not.
Probably
but
not,
But
no.
it's pretty damn good, and the
Yeah.
food's good too.
Yeah, the food's amazing, and it's where
Brennan's,
it's where
the
I
prowlings
found
that they give
cake
out.
bread Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
That was what we drank that night.
Yeah, I'm more of a cupcake Pinot Noir kind of guy. They sell that at Circle
Yeah.
K and Stripes.
Jeez, I know you are.
Oh man. So the vision. So that's pretty much up to the boss. Dante's gonna dictate that. I think they've got the vision because it's complicated, right? It's not independent anymore. It's not HFFVA making the decisions. It's TIPA, kind of guiding us on what to do. So I think there's going to be a brand new board. Unfortunately, the team that was there, I don't think is going to be there any longer, but maybe the same company's representing on the board as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I mean, like anything, right? I mean, I think revenue generation is important. I mean, I think we need to make sure that we'll be able to cover costs for whatever we do, right?
absolutely.
I really liked the component of sponsorship. I think at one point, a company like, let's say it's IFCO or Sunfed wants to sponsor lunch, but they also get 30 minutes to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the most interesting talks or presentations I've ever heard, at least 2 of them were from HFFVA. And one of them was Karen Kaplan. And the other was, I don't remember the guy's name, but he is one of the founders of Papas. What?
That's the one that for me.
That one
that's the
sticks out
one
in my
I
mind.
remember.
Okay.
Yeah,
the
one
story of how they got started.
The founder of the Papa's restaurant.
Yeah.
The
I
family.
don't remember which brother it was, but it was one of the sons. Because the
Oh.
father was early on in the restaurant supply business. Like, I'm talking about when refrigeration was first a thing. And then I don't know what economic downturn happened. They packed everything up, and the 3 brothers went their own way. If I'm recalling the story, I'm paraphrasing, but the 3 brothers, it dawns on them, look, there was some family history of, restaurant supply, and they get together and decide to, I think they bought, I don't think they opened it. I think Crystal Baking Company belonged to somebody else. Am I telling you stuff that you don't know?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because you're looking at me.
I'm looking at her
I don't
face.
know.
I'm thinking, yeah, she has no idea. So.
Okay,
And
so-
I don't recall. I recall the luncheon, and it was very impressive, but that's all I
Crystal
recall.
Baking Company was kind of like a very, I don't know, well-known restaurant. And that's where Papa's restaurant chain started. Like, they started with that little restaurant. And they also have, like, coffee shops and stuff that we don't know about. Yeah, Mary's, the burgers and all that stuff. But super interesting story. And so that was from one of those luncheons. And I've told that story.
Twice?
No, maybe 100 times, 50 times.
Okay.
So I don't know. It means something to me.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
sorry,
It is
Craig.
interesting.
So can we get him to come back for our first one in honor of Ed?
Man, the expectations here of
You know what?
me.
I know you can pull that off.
Myra's like,
you-
why
I'll
are you
call him. I'll
Myra's
speed
like, why
dial
are you
him.
looking at me? We'll ask somebody. Oh, why don't you call him?
Yeah. Well, no, I can guarantee you, if she doesn't know them, she knows someone that knows them. I would
You know
put
who
a.
else
I would
like
put a.
is
I would
Tillman
put
Fertitta.
a. I would put a.
Oh, now we're talking. Okay,
You can pull that off.
potentially. No promises.
Okay.
That's right up
skip
there.
Pappas. Skip Pappas. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Get him on.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. We're doing the podcast. If he shows up, he's got to commit to coming on the podcast.
I think an idea was just born because that would bring some people in.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
absolutely.
yeah. And he's a great. I mean, if you ever seen him speak or whatever, he's a fabulous.
No, and if we tell him
personality.
the story or communicate the story, let's not say we're going to tell him, but if we communicate the story of what we're trying to accomplish,
Yeah.
It might spawn some.
I mean, it makes sense. The food industry, he probably doesn't even know it exists. HFFVA exists, so why not? Let's do a luncheon.
You know what? This is another idea spawning.
Okay.
Well,
Taking mental notes right now.
Well, it's being
forget-
recorded,
forget-
so
forget-
don't worry about it.
for the
We'll watch it all.
keynote luncheon next year.
Okay.
Who would? I mean, he would be outstanding to have as a keynote lunch
Oh,
speaker,
my.
right?
Okay.
I proposed that already, and it got shut down. But
Oh, really?
this year, but maybe for next year. Or no, maybe we called him and we couldn't make it happen. Something happened. It didn't get shut down.
I think that was Nolan Ryan.
No, that was you proposed Nolan
I
Ryan.
proposed Nolan Ryan, and nobody could make it happen. You could have made it happen, couldn't you?
No, I don't know. You guys are like setting
Drayton?
expectations
What
of
about
me.
Drayton? You got access to Drayton?
No, I sure don't.
No. Gosh.
I don't know who you think
So, are
I
you
am,
a member of
but-
the? Are you member of the club over at the baseball field?
No.
Have you been down there
I have been
during
down
a
there.
game?
You want to know why?
Yeah, I wanna know why, for
I
sure.
started working, so I know nothing about sports. But man, I love my Astros.
Okay.
Okay. So before I got hired at CNN, I got hired at Minute Maid when it first opened up. So I got to see everything. I got to give tours to people. So yeah, I got to meet the players. And back then, like, my friends were like, "Why would you get a job in sports? Like, you don't even know the name of the players." And it was true. So I was like, "There's a lot to learn here." So I learned it, but I quit. I want to say 6 weeks into it because then I got hired at CNN.
So I'm sorry, I'm laughing
I
because
know
I
he's
watch
like totally cracking up.
watch Big Bang Theory, and these guys are all intellectuals, right? They don't know anything about sports, and one of them dates a girl that's into sports and into football in particular, and they're watching football, and he paints his stomach, and instead of like the team name, it just says "Go Sports." Like he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah.
That would be me.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Go Sports.
So,
Yeah.
what else is going on in Houston within the produce business, produce industry? What kind of other things? Obviously, big news with the two TIPA and HFF and VA joining up together.
Yes.
Right? That's big news. Anything else that's happening down here? That's the port. I know you guys did a port tour or something. Tell us about some of the other stuff that's happening as it relates to produce for us.
I was
down here.
just about to say the most exciting for all of us, of course, is the Port of Houston. It's one of the largest ports in the nation, and it's not necessarily food friendly, fresh food friendly. But have you guys heard? No?
I haven't.
No.
So, and they haven't. So, more importantly, they haven't heard.
Okay, so I don't want to make any false claims, but we were given a date of May 21st. Hopefully, crossing fingers, things may change, but apparently the cold treatment certification may pass on May 21st, meaning that citrus and grapes will have access through the Port of Houston, a lot more access. So that's super exciting. And so, of course, what's next? Mayra is going to push for tropicals because that's what we specialize in. So why not? I mean, imagine it's like, and I know everybody knows this common sense, but it's like Central South America. We're bringing everything through Miami, losing time there, trucking it down to Houston. It doesn't make sense. We have a port here. So I'm excited for that. I'm obviously supporting it, advocating for it. And so, again, we were given a date. It's a matter of time.
So with the cold treatment, is that so before they were spraying, or were they using cobalt, or how were they treating the product before it came in?
So it depends on the commodity, but right now with the cold treatment, what they were explaining to us is that obviously there's regulations that they have to follow, but it just gives more opportunity for us to bring products like citrus, tropicals. I don't know. It just depends on the commodity what the treatment will be. So the cold treatment is not the solution for everything. But also another challenge here in Houston is that real estate super expensive. There's not enough cold storage. And so that's been the story for everybody. And so we're lucky to have our facility in central Houston with so much cold storage. We also do fresh cut. And so that helps a lot in the different temperatures that we handle. And so we've been reached out so many times, and that's how we know the need is there. Now, it's as simple as saying, well, just build cooling space, but there's no more real estate in Houston. It's all selling out, and it's super expensive. So that's one of the challenges that we're having with bringing fresh product through the Port of Houston.
Wow, it seems like a big challenge. I mean, for
Yeah.
those that know Houston, it's a big place. I mean, it's a lot of concrete. To think we're running out of space. I guess Katie's too far.
Imagine
Seems
trucking.
like everybody goes out to Katie.
That's like a totally different city right now.
Yeah, well, everything
we
in
have
Houston.
a short amount of time. I did want to get Mayra's view on. So this is the first year you've been sort of on the steering committee,
Yes.
board member, all that stuff. Any feedback? Any thoughts on your experience? I guess so far. What are your thoughts? Like, what did you expect? Anything different than what you expected?
I've served on a couple of boards. One of them was the Houston Food Bank, which I don't know if you guys know, but the Houston Food Bank is the largest food bank in the nation, and it's also in the world, actually, as far as like the volume that they're handling. So that was a great experience, and then I brought that into this board. In my mind, of course, comparing, not to compare, but my expectations, they were high. Why? Because we have a great leader, Dante. He's amazing. And so the potential for this board is huge. I mean, we know why. It's just like produce, educational projects that schools are looking into, politicians are looking into it. How do we promote them? So it's this board that can help us grow knowledge about food. Because believe it or not, every single expo that I've been to in Houston, chamber, association, they never talk about food. I'm always the only one representing food. So whenever we do an intro, it's kind of like, hi, I'm Mayra with Latin Specialties. I sell produce. and everyone else is
They look at you like you're from outer space.
yeah, especially when I'm wearing like pineapple earrings and stuff.
Well, and it's funny because there was a food bank that approached me about joining, and actually, I didn't do it. And I think I could have provided some insight. I don't sell produce, but I know a little bit about the supply chain. And everybody else was like real estate agents and
Yes.
brokers. It seemed more like a social type endeavor, right?
Oil and gas, medicine.
I'm not sure they're tapping the right people to. I'm not saying Houston. I'm saying another food bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, still in Houston. There's not enough talk about it. So I contacted so many city officials and I said, if you cannot make it this year, I want you guys to be there next year, please. You need to understand like what the food industry is going through, especially the fresh produce industry.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're getting tight on time, but we got to get out with it's a very personal question.
Oh boy.
So so get ready. If you're not comfortable with it, we completely
Oh my
understand.
God. Now I'm really scared.
No, so what's your favorite genre?
I'd say samba, tropical music.
Samba, tropical music. Well, I'm definitely probably not going to know anybody in that genre, but I'm curious. If I looked at your Spotify for the last year,
Oh, God, I
what would be
knew.
your top musician or top album?
Okay, let's change it then. It's Spanish rock pop and it's Luis Miguel. Let's do this.
Luis Miguel?
Yes, do you know who he is? Tell
That-
me.
Well, okay. Is he out of Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah.
Country
kinda.
Country and Western singer, cowboy
Oh
hat?
goodness. No.
Okay, well, no, I
They
do
call
know.
him El Sol de Mexico,
Yes.
which means Mexico's sun.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say that I'm a big Luis Miguel fan.
Are you?
I saw
You're
him as a
ashamed to
kid
say that?
in
Why?
Acapulco once, like at a Ritz. I was like 12. He must have been 20.
Okay.
And then my wife took me to see one of the best, if not the best, concerts. Bryce is 23, and she was pregnant with him, so 23 years ago, at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas.
Okay.
It might be the best concert I ever saw in my life.
Thank
We'll
you.
have to talk about it later, but it was super cool.
Thank
I
you.
have a question for you, though, real quick.
Okay.
Unfortunately, tomorrow, say, is the last day on Earth for you. How would you want to be remembered, or what for? What would be the main thing you'd want to be remembered for?
Oh goodness. So I'm such a humanitarian. I work in the food industry and I see how hard our people on the fields work.
Mhm.
And if I could, my mission is to return money back to them, build them schools, housing, support them as much as possible. So I just want to help people. I don't have kids, and so what am I going to leave behind is just my hard work paid off and will hopefully help others.
That's awesome. We're going to have to do a part 2 because we didn't cover about half of my list.
Myra, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, Myra.
And, well,
Thank
hey,
you for
We're
having me.
we're looking forward to working with you more.
yeah, more and more, and we'll do more with the HFFVA.
Viva Houston!
Viva Houston!
Viva Houston.